What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. Before I get into this one, just a quick heads up. Blueprint is now open for the first time in the last 3 months, and once this intake is over, it's going to be closed again for a few months. If you have been struggling with trading and if you would like to achieve consistency, and if you think that I'm the right one to help you out, then feel free to click the first link in the description box below, because Blueprint will close in about 2 weeks. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into today's video. Now, just based on looking at Bitcoin prior to recording this video, I think today is going to be one of the highest probability days for the entire week. It is actually looking pretty decent. We have a very clear-cut setup, and so yeah, this is what I'm going to break down in the video. But just right before we get into it though, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Xuan. I have a 78% win rate after tracking all of these public trade calls that I've made over the last year and a half. We have 200 plus trades so far, and the reason I say this is that if you're here, chances are you're in the right place, because I tend to be right just a tiny bit more often compared to when I'm wrong. But with that out of the way though, let's actually really get into the video for the day. Now, so far we are looking at a bullish weekly bias. Now, if you remember, and if you watched yesterday's video, you would have known that I'm actually expecting the low of the week to come somewhere around 61,250, because over here is when you'll get that kind of low of the week. You're going to sweep out all of these relatively equal lows right here, and that kind of sets the precedent for some sort of an aggressive move towards the upside. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, Monday, Tuesday, we're expecting this to happen. Now, the reason why I'm looking for this, it has to do with a little bit of a power of three. So if you have a bullish weekly bias, you would actually anticipate the price to go lower. Or actually, even if you don't anticipate that, in the event that price actually goes lower compared to the weekly open, that is giving you a opportunity to get into price or just get into a trade sometime at kind of like a buy low and a potentially sell high kind of opportunity. And so you see this quite a lot, even on the daily chart, or in fact, you can apply this to any kind of time frame where, for example, if you're bullish for the day, right, this kind of close is bullish, so you're looking for a bullish trade for the day. Anytime you go below the daily open is an opportunity for you to buy low, right? Get into a position here, get into a long here, and then take advantage of a true expansion towards the upside. This is what we're looking for in terms of the weekly. The way this applies to the daily is that Monday, Tuesday, potentially Wednesday, low of the week, and then maybe, just maybe, I'm not like some oracle to, be able to kind of predict the market. Neither am I trying to predict the market, but I'm just saying, in the event that this happens, I'm not going to be surprised. If anything, I will be looking for this. So far though, in terms of the weekly bias, we are bullish. In terms of the daily bias, we're actually bearish. So let's get into the daily bias. So far, we're getting a really bearish candle close, and you know what that means, right? Like, for example, just now, when we explained the power of three, well, this is a good time for you to test your understanding of the power of three. In this case here, what do we look for? If your answer was the fact that right now we're trading above the daily open to potentially some PD arrays so that we can ride a true expansion towards the downside, then good job. You got the answer right and you're improving in trading. But let's actually go down into the 1 hourly time frame to see if this is in fact the case. I'm going to take a moment to just toot my own horn here. Yesterday, trade setup ended up being absolutely perfect. Now, me personally, I didn't end up taking it because like Monday, and also I was, out for dinner. In fact, made a reservation at the same restaurant today. So that's going to be 2 days in a row of dinner. But I digress. Either way, if you guys took the setup yesterday and you guys made money, I would totally love it if you guys can drop a comment down below. Always warms my heart to see that you're making a positive impact in your life or in your trading career. But if you didn't end up taking yesterday, I hope you remember what I said yesterday, which is, now in the event that you did not end up taking the trade yesterday, it is absolutely no worries as well. Because like today, you're going to have much more certainty. The reason for that is because yesterday you ended up getting a bearish candle close. So today, daily bias is towards the downside. Not only that, but you are continuing the 1 hourly bearish order flow. If anything, today is looking incredibly bearish. And with all that said, it essentially just tells you that, yeah, today, in terms of higher probability, it is looking very good, at least compared to yesterday. Now, so far though, we are coming back into the original kind of order block right here. And I know some of you will be quick to point out the fact that we are also over here inside another order block, which means that right here, all we need is some sort of a break down, and the level that I'm going to be looking for in specific is going to be this one right here, 62,500, because in the event that you get a candle close on the 1 hourly chart below this level, you're going to get a bearish CISD, and this is going to be the trigger for us to just start jumping into shorts. Now, if this does not happen, does it mean that the trade ID is completely invalidated? No, because so far you're still within the 1 hourly PD array, which basically means that when you have a bearish daily bias and you are in a very clear 1 hourly PD array, now in this case, you're anticipating price go towards the downside. So like either way, we're just going to be looking for shorts. Now, the best kind of confirmation for me is that once this happens over here, this entire block of candles here is going to turn into a potential bearish order block. And then you're going to trade price lower. And in this case, the risk to reward is going to be pretty clean. possibly something like that, and just targeting the current daily open, this is going to give you a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And if you go for the range lows, kind of how we're anticipating in terms of the weekly bias, then yeah, you've got a potential 5.5R trade on your hands. So that's going to be the condition that I'm looking for. But in the event that you watch this video and the price just starts, kind of going for the highs over here, then just remember that this is still within the bigger order block, which means that once you still get that breakdown sometime during the New York session, which in today's case, we're going to have to take a look at news. We have news at 8:30 a.m. as well as 10 a.m. New York time today, which means that the ideal kind of scenario is that if you end up going for the highs, you want to see some sort of a breakdown in between the hours of 8:30 all the way to 11 a.m. Now, if you do sweep out the highs, as long as you don't kind of go above this bearish order block, the trade's going to be intact and you can actually just start shorting this towards the downside. But either way, today is a beautiful news day and I would anticipate price to actually, give this to us. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you know anything about this system, it's that it performs exceptionally well during news windows. What is that exactly? Well, the news window is the hour before news to the hour after news. What type of news? High impact news. What is high impact news? Go over to forexfactory.com/calendar. And anything that has a red folder with USD next to it is what we commonly refer to as high impact news. Now, obviously, we tend to just look at the USD because we're primarily trading Bitcoin. But if we were looking at stuff like GBP or Canadian, obviously you would trade those news sessions instead. Believe it or not, this system actually works incredibly well on the majority of assets. It's not like we are purely trading Bitcoin or like this only works on Bitcoin, right? This also works on Forex, also works on indices. Sometimes, well, a lot of the times our students tend to find even better results on these other, kind of charts. As for why I do not discuss it on the videos, well, the channel name is still The Art of Crypto at the end of the day, so I try to stick to Bitcoin, but just don't get me wrong. But either way, I digress. So today we have news, which also means that, when there's news, right? Why does news matter? Well, news is a catalyst for volatility, which basically just means that when there is red folder high impact news, everyone's going to be looking at this time like, okay, today at 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. I can reasonably expect the market to give me a pretty aggressive move, or like I can expect the market to give me a move. Now, I may not know which direction that's going to be. In our case, we know. But a lot of other market participants are going to be looking at this exact same time and looking at that and going like, yeah, something's going to happen then. Which basically just means that as long as we're able to line up the price action in our favor, which this is going to be ideal scenario number one, but in the event that you get a sweep towards the upside and you start breaking down, that is also very much valid. Of course, I will be updating you guys if I do get into any trades on my Twitter. None of my trade calls are gated behind a signals group. If I take a trade, you guys will know about it. And if you'd like to just follow me on Twitter, this is how I look like. Username is The Art of Crypto. Pretty straightforward. But otherwise, yeah, just a quick heads up. Blueprint sales going on right now. If you've been seeing the insane amount of results that we've been getting all of our students in the last 2 intakes, and you are feeling a bit of FOMO, just understand that Blueprint, in fact, works. You just got to take a chance with it. So get in while you can. But otherwise, I'm going to see you guys in tomorrow's video and later on X. Ciao, ciao.